Hello, sports fans, and happy St. Patrick's Day. This is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. The charming gentleman in the middle in Belgrade, Serbia, is Stuart Weir, our European editor who is traveled from Oxford, yes, the intellectual capital of the world, John Ridgen, to Belgrade to cover the World Indoor Championships for us. Stuart, greetings and salutations.
Hello, I've brought a friend who wants to say hello to you.
Oh, now what is that friend called?
He's called Raspberry Lee. And he is one of the mascots.
Wow.
For the event. And he's an athletic raspberry. He runs.
Wow. Now, do they have a full size one for you this weekend?
Well, I haven't seen yet, but there certainly is a big picture of one outside the arena. It seems
good.
He is there to promote a healthy lifestyle, and you have a healthy lifestyle by eating raspberries and by doing track and field. I'm sure we would totally endorse that message.
Totally endorse. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I think if you see T-shirts, take a picture for us, because I think that would be a nice one,
Well, since you mentioned T-shirts, I'll just hold up my freebie T-shirt, but unfortunately it doesn't have the raspberry on it.
Oh, quite nice, my friend. Pretty awesome.
Indeed. Yeah.
Yes.
Larry, you know that going to an event is all about the freebies you get.
Oh, so nice. Oh, yeah. The bag. I have the bag dating back. Raspberry's good. Yeah, I have my bags dating back to Sevilla and Athens, I believe. Yeah.
Mm.
So, it keeps it, that keeps it kind of fun. So where are you staying in Belgrade?
I'm staying in a hotel called the Putnik, which I stayed 4 years ago for the European Indoors. Interestingly, the media seats were a level up from where we were last time.
Really?
Yeah, we're right up. And I was a bit concerned when I was told that the restaurant, the media restaurant, is on floor 200. I was hoping it was better, but in fact, they're just at 100. It's actually the second floor.
Oh, that's good. I was just trying to impress you, I guess, right?
And my seat is in floor 400.
Oh, nice. Oh, my God.
There's only, there are not 200 in between.
Good. And where's the mix zone?
The mix zone is down where it was before.
Okay.
And of course, we're not in the Combank arena, but the Stark arena.
The Stark arena. Yes, I saw that the name had changed. Huh?
Change of sponsorship.
Wow. Well, those things happen. Those things happen. You were at the presser today. You want to give us a little bit of insight into that?
We had 5 athletes. We had Ivana Spanovic, or Mrs. Valletta, who told us that she had not planned to be competing here because she had planned to retire last year as Olympic champion. And unfortunately, Malika Mahambo hadn't read the script. So she's had to go on for another year because she feels she wants to go out with a win. And she was good. She was good value. She gave a very full answer. And then Serbian television stood up and said, would you mind saying all that again in Serbian? Then we had Ryan Crowther, who is, I think, always good value. He was asked to recall the Doha shot put competition, where, of course, the top 3 were separated by 1 centimeter, and was asked whether we might see a repetition of that. And Ryan said, I hope not. He would be quite happy to win without having people quite as close to him.
I concur.
We had 3 great 800-meter runners. We had Keely Hodgkinson and Jenny Meadows, who of course is her assistant coach, her husband being the main coach, and some chap called Sepp Coe, I believe, has run a few 800s in his time.
I've heard of him. him.
And then who were the other athletes? We had Marcel Jacobs, who told us that he was a long jumper who got injured, and he's really very thankful for the injury because otherwise he would still be doing the long jump and wouldn't be Olympic champion.
I like that too.
And Damian Warner, in his own words, one of the old guys, but he was confident that he could do something. I mean, he said that he lost in Birmingham 4 years ago by 5 points. Not that he's bitter about it, he just thinks about it all the time, and he'd quite like to make amends. So, the group we had. But what was really interesting was Stepko was asked how he felt about being in Belgrade, where there had been protests on the streets in support of Russia.
Yeah. Wow.
I think you could say that he was more comfortable talking about track than he was about the Russians. But the moment he had finished, the Serbian Federation president, Veselin Jebrosovic, said that he wanted just to point out for clarity that there had also been protests in the streets in support of Ukraine.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That's
We
good.
got a balance there.
You know, my concern when we were in Serbia in 2017, there had been a meeting with the European Union had come in to explain, answer people's questions, and the person was beat up, and it that concerned me. I'm glad to see that they were there. I understand the support of Russia. They're Serbian, they're Slavs, but I also I'm glad to see that there are protests on both sides. But yet, I think Seb's in a no-win situation anytime he has to talk politics. I mean, he's been pretty hardcore about banning the Russians, which probably hasn't been that popular in Serbia, you know, and most of the other former Eastern Bloc countries. But yeah, it's going to be. Are you going to? Is there a British presser, or was there already one in the UK?
There was just there was a Zoom one this morning. Really, what fascinated me was that there were 5 of us on it, but I was the only one who was actually here.
Really?
Sean Ingle was planning to come, but then he tested positive.
Oh gosh!
On Friday, and while technically he could come, he felt that there was a risk that he would be tested here as positive, and then would just be made to isolate in the room. So I don't know whether there are others, but it'd be interesting. There certainly doesn't seem to be many people who have come. I mean, if I'm honest, I was pretty nervous waking up yesterday morning waiting for the result of my PCR test, which I had to have despite being triple vaccinated and so on. And I had some reservations about it because PCR tests, medical opinion in Britain says, are not reliable if you've had COVID previously. I'm here. It all kicks off tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, feel very, very positive about it. So what events do you think, Larry, are you particularly looking forward to?
Well, you know, I wrote up a piece last night on the women's. I haven't done the men's yet, but on the women's side, I think the women's 60 could be pretty exciting. I think the U.S. athletes and Ua Swoboda, I think that's going to be an interesting combination. But I think the women's 800 could be just crazy town. You know, I think Keely looks really good. What do you think about that one?
Well, let's just take it on the 60 for a moment. It's a great shame that Elaine Thompson-Huron decided not to do it, because she was open. When she was in Birmingham, she said that she was open to doing it. Also, funny enough, I had an exchange with Shelley this week, who said at one stage she was looking at doing the World Indoors, but it just didn't happen for her this year, because she won it the only time she'd ever done it. That was the time when she had run in Birmingham indoors for the first time ever. And she was asked about this, and she said, she just looked at the question and said, "I'm from Jamaica. Why would I want to run indoors?"
That's true.
But yeah,
That's true.
I mean, it's interesting that Keely was asked, "Who is the person you think you're looking over your shoulder at?" And she said, "I suppose if I had to pick one, I would say Natoya Gould, because she's got the better of me once or twice." I mean, Keely beat her in Birmingham, but to be fair, this was in the middle of the storm. And Natoya had spent about 12 hours getting from France to England because of all the transport disruption. And so she was pretty tired, and she had run a 1:57 in France a couple of days before, well, 2 days before. So I think Keely was more rested. I mean, I think Keely is a great athlete, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that she will beat Natoya Gould. Gould had a great season, but just slightly messed up the Olympic final. She just had got her tactics wrong. But now I can tell you what is going to happen in the men's 60.
Okay, sure.
Because I heard it from Marcel Jacobs. Christian Coleman is going to get out fast. Marcel Jacobs is going to hang onto his coattails and dip past him.
Woo, that'll be exciting.
Yeah. He said he thought that if he could just hang onto his coattails and then dip better than he did, he would win.
Well, the thing about it is that I think that is going to be one of the true highlights of the entire championship. I think it will be closer than many people expect, not because I think any less of either of the athletes. I think they're both fantastic. Christian hasn't raced much. I mean, he's done a 6.55 and a 6.45. Marcel is, raced, I believe, 5 times this season and won all 5 of them, I believe.
Well, not all 5, because he false started in Belgrade.
Yes. Okay.
He said that he sort of joked that was deliberate, because he just wanted to get his false start out of the way and have it when a race that didn't matter rather than the big one.
It's actually, a lot of guys have that. I mean, I used to watch athletes do that stuff all the time. And so that makes a ton of sense.
Do you think there'll be pressure on Grant Holloway because he was the stonewall favorite for the Olympics and didn't deliver?
I think that there's a lot of pressure, but the most pressure is he puts on himself. I do think that he's terribly fit, and he learned a lot from the Olympics, and so did his team. I just think that he didn't look great in the heats, and I think Hansley saw it and saw his opportunity. And Mr. Parchment is an experienced athlete and has, been to Olympic finals and world championship finals, and just, he got him. And I think Grant knows now that, he wants to win this one. He wants to win Eugene. And then he's going to have to wait to 24 to win an Olympic medal. And he really wants it. He believes that he has, a reason for being. And he really believes in himself. And I don't think it's braggadocio. I think it's a confidence, a thoughtful confidence. I like him very, very much. He's a fun interview, and he seems quite genuine. And I think he's one of those true characters who's great for the sport. I mean, we've got him, we've got Keely, we've got Marcel, we've got Christian. It's Christian, and rightly so, is rather careful in his speaking, and rather concerned because of, he's seen the bad side or he's seen the difficult side of media. I won't say it's bad because I think we had to report it, but he did get, he did get a lot of several issues that he had to deal with. On both sides, the pole vault looks to be fantastic. What you want to start with the women's? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's a fascinating dynamic that Sandy and Katie are not in the same training group.
Wow. Yeah.
Wonder if that does that change the dynamics at all?
It's fascinating because we've been seeing that, like in the U.S. with Cole Hawker and Cooper Tier. One of our young writers, Matt Weisner, trains with them, and he wrote a piece recently where, for the last two and a half years, these guys have trained together every day. They've raced 8 times in the last 2 years, and the difference between them is 0.53 seconds. I think that it seems that people can do that, and we've seen it in situations too. It's going to be really interesting with these two.
There was a lovely moment that Katie told me about in Tokyo when it was down to the final 3, and Katie and Holly Bradshaw are close friends. Katie said, I went over to Holly and said, we've both got a medal. And Holly politely told her to go away. She was still competing for the gold.
No, that's the dynamic when I've asked athletes about, in my day, we were told, you were buddies up until you got to the starting line, and then you focused on the competition. And, in the time of Maurice Green and folks like that, which, Maurice was always a bit of a character, but there was this dynamic, and you wondered if they could ever be relaxed around each other, And I think women athletes approach it differently, which I really like to see. But I also think we see it with male athletes who are training in groups too. The Bowerman Bowerman athletes, Grant Fisher and Mo Ahmed, they ran every part of, except for the last 50 meters of a 25-lap race together, and
I remember Laura Muir once saying to me that if she and Gemma are in a championship, they would tag team in the prelims. But when it came to the final, each of them would have their plan, and they wouldn't tell the other one what it was. If it was the prelim or the semi, they would run together and have a plan. You lead to the first bit, and I'll take over, and you tuck in behind me, kind of thing.
No, I think that makes a ton of sense. It saves the energy for what is most important. And, I've always thought that their coach, Andy Young, was very savvy in doing that and dealing with that, because you've got to have different plans for the different athletes. Everybody has a different approach.
As I put on Twitter, I'm so sad that Laura Muir isn't there, because we needed somebody to reproduce that wonderful moment when the steward tried to stop her having her lap of honor.
Oh God, I love that one. That was so much fun. Yeah.
Laura said afterwards, I knew once I was past her, she'd never catch me. One race which intrigues me is the women's 400.
Okay.
Now, if it was an outdoor race, you would back Shawnee Miller-Weeble 100%. But long legs on tight bends. And I just wonder if Femke Ball is physically more suited. I mean, I went to the track this morning and I saw Shawnee warming up there. But I think it's intriguing because Shawnee's obviously got so much talent. But, running those tight bends, I think she's not quite built for that. And she'll probably now go out and break the world record and show me how little I know.
I just recall Edwin Moses running the San Francisco Golden Gate Indoor in 1976 or 77, excuse me, right after the Olympics, and literally falling on it was 160 yard banked and falling on it. And it was, I always thought big guys, it was very difficult for big athletes, tall athletes. And Shawnee is, statuesque, and she's gotten around on the 200 banked over here, with that the world best last year in the 400 and the 200. But I also think that Femke Bol is a very talented racer. And if there is any sign of weakness from Shawnee, Femke will take advantage of it. The Americans, Lina Irby and Jessica Beard, are just a little bit behind. I think there's a possible shot. Well, it's them and Justina Sveta and oh gosh, there's one more in there, I think, fighting for bronze medals. It's going to be tough. It's going to be really, really tough. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm sorry, young Hannah Williams' sister, was it Jessie isn't there. Enjoyed her in Torun and getting to speak with her, but
I haven't seen her run at all. I think she's just. I mean, it's interesting that Keely was asked this morning, "Do you think you can do 4 championships this year?" And she said, "Well, my priority is Eugene, and I definitely want to do the Commonwealth because it's in the UK, and we'll see about the Europeans." And she talked about physically it's okay, but the mental and emotional drain of doing a championship and running 3 times can really drain you. And she said, so I'm not committing to the European until after the Commonwealth. So pretty sensible attitude there.
Yeah, I think it's very healthy for her. I think it makes a ton of sense that she is that she's taken, and she's got great advisors, but the mental challenges of doing 4 championships have got to be rather difficult. Although I see athletes like, Krauser will do 2. If Holly had competed in the indoors, she would have probably done, all 4. But have you heard how she's coming along?
I gather she's on target for decided not to compete indoor at all. I think she's on target for starting. She's committed to doing the Birmingham Diamond League in Birmingham from memory.
I just got a video of the Prince Alexander Stadium, the new one. It looks gorgeous. Yeah. They've done a lovely job on it, and that'll host the Commonwealth Games as well as the Diamond League.
Diamond League, yes.
That's going to be fantastic. So we've got our friend Ryan Krauser in the shot, and I think he would like a world record this year, and that would be fun in front of the Serbians. Did you get the suggestion that our friend Ivana Valletta is ready to roar? Is she ready to pop a good one?
Well, just that Ryan hasn't actually mentioned the world record for at least a couple of hours.
Good. That's important.
So it did slip out that the world record is 22:90. That could be reachable. Ivana was asked about some of her competitors, and she says, I respect my competitors, but I always feel that I'm competing against myself because I know what I'm capable of and I want to produce it. And she did 7:24 to win the European indoor in the stadium. And so she said, look, I don't want to make any big announcements, but I think I'm capable of repeating that or bettering it.
Wow. That's a pretty big deal. That as we both recall from the 17, the Euro indoors, that was a tremendous competition, and each jump was magnificent. It reminded me a lot of Jonathan Edwards, competition in Göteborg, in 95. And so just a different world.
Lorraine Ugin was one of the medalists behind her. And I actually had a conversation with her at the carousel yesterday. And I told her that I'd written a nice piece about her, and I see she's retweeted it today. So she's obviously an athlete of sound judgment.
That, it's really nice that the athletes that you write about retweet things, and so does our friend Mark Monroe. He's a big retweeter, so I appreciate that, and that kind of keeps it.
But let me tell you about the carousel. It's one of those comedy moments, because if you get chosen to represent Britain, you get given, they're called coffins in the trade. Not quite a suitcase, but a sort of square, halfway between a suitcase and a kit bag, with British athletics on it. So picture the scene at the carousel with 30 athletes, coaches, team management. And off the carousel comes 30 identical blue bags. What's mine? Is that one mine? Is that one mine? The experienced ones sort of put a ribbon on it so they can recognize it. But it's hilarious seeing athletes going around thinking that perhaps if it's a blue bag, it must be mine, and finding there's actually 30 of them. So I did, and I was in good company, because I shared a car from the airport to my hotel with Will Clay.
Oh my gosh!
Who told me that his lovely wife is 7 months pregnant.
Oh, that's lovely. That's really neat.
Yes.
They're really fun people. I enjoy them immensely.
The name that just suddenly slipped me, the women's shot putter who won the Diamond League, the American women's shot putter, did Gwen?
Oh, is it Chase Neely or Meg Ewan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I was in the front seat of the car and they were in the back, so I didn't see them. But we did chat about that, and she was really quite pleased that we're having a sensible way of deciding the winner of events this year.
Yes. Yeah.
Let me say it slowly to you, Larry, just so you grasp it.
Okay.
The person who throws the furthest is going to win.
Really now? Wow. That's relatively archaic, but I think actually fans could understand that. I still have no idea how they came up with the other system, but I sure hope that whatever they were drinking or smoking, they have gotten rid of, so we don't have to deal with that again, because it was a bit much, my friend.
And of course, you know that if you win, you get a gold medal and probably a raspberry.
Wow. I am really going to let that alone, but I do like the character, Stuart. It is. I think we have to figure out, Mike, a way to just have a dancing raspberry through many of our things now, I'm going to have to grab a picture of that one. Mondo Du Pontus, speaking of world records, will he set one this weekend?
Good idea. Tell you what, I'll give you a prediction.
Okay.
I think that Mondo will go over 6 meters.
I think you're right. And I think he's on his way to 150 clearances of 6 meters in his career. I think I predict a new world indoor record and a new American indoor record in the pole vault on the men's side. On the women's side, with Anzelika Sidorova, who's in great shape, Katie Hodgkinson, who I think is not only in good shape, but's gotten past her. There was some challenges, I think, after winning the Olympic medal. Sandy Morris is obviously fit. Wow, I think it's going to be hard for anybody else to get into that medal group right there. But it's going to be fascinating.
I mean, I think for Katie, that she had come close, not quite performed in championships, and then suddenly to go out and do it in Tokyo. In a way, if she had been a few years older, I think she would have retired on the spot. Just suddenly to pick herself up again. Of course, I mean, I saw her compete in Zurich, where she was very poor. But I mean, she just said, "Look, I had nothing left. There was just nothing in the tank."
It makes complete sense. She explained it, I thought, very well, that she's interviewed her this winter, and she had just said that, at the U.S. the indoor champs, we had a totally strange deal. You've experienced this. I'm at the meet. I go in a day early expecting to have a live presser, and we get a note from USATF that it is a remote presser. And so I write all my questions and send them in. I'm sitting in a little bar at the Centennial Hotel working, and that's where I saw it all, and it just she said that when you achieve your ultimate goal, how do you go on from there? And she's been able to do it, and I think she's done it quite well. And I think the competition with Sandy and the training with her, I think, helps. So, we've got two of our finest vaulters in the U.S. Competing, and I'm pretty happy with that.
And Kitty hasn't quite finished because she would love to join the 5-meter club.
Yeah.
Or before she retires.
Well, I'll tell you, this place Stark is a wonderful place to pole vault. I remember Piotr Lysik and the crew and Le Villeneuve and the whole group, getting some big heights. So it'll be interesting to see what the men and women do. On the U.S. side, it's Casey Lightfoot with Chris Nielsen, both, big event jumpers. So we'll have to see. Is Renaud Le Villeneuve there?
I'm not quite sure. Yeah, he's. I think he is.
Oh, good. No, he is.
I mean, he has been wonderful, but you just wonder if he's. I think we've seen the best of him.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to see him get a couple more good jumps. And what he's doing for the sport with the all-star pole vault meets is fantastic. And what he's done for Mondo and Sam Kendricks and company. And it's just haven't seen much of Sam this season at all. And I don't know if he's taking, my guess is he's probably taking a break. I hope his health is good and look forward to seeing him, outdoors. The men's 800 could be an interesting race too.
Yes. I mean, we try to be unbiased, but I mean, I would love to see Elliot Giles getting in the medals.
Sure. Yeah. I think I look at Bryce Hoppel, and I think Bryce could be in there. The Spanish 800-meter runner who's been running so well this season could be quite good as well. And then the from the World Athletic previews, they don't seem to think that anybody can beat the Ethiopians in the 3,000. Our friend Jakob Ingebrigtsen is in the 1,500, I take it.
Yeah.
Is he doubling, or is he just
going to be second?
Really? Braga?
Yeah, the only thing to discuss in the 1,500 is who's going to be second.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What do you think about the women's 1,500?
Well, I suppose it's likely to be an Ethiopian victory.
Yeah. It won't. I don't think they'll allow it to be if they don't allow it to be tactical. It really takes chances for the Europeans in the women's 3,000. I think Elle Purier, the U.S. runner, has and Alicia Monson have a slight shot. I think being in the top 6 is going to be a big deal, because I just think the Ethiopians are going to crank it out from the beginning, because they don't want anybody to have to try to kick with them, And that would if the Ethiopians go, if they sweep in the 3,000s and pick up a couple medals in the 1,500, they're going to be one of the top 3 teams. So it'll be interesting to see, how it goes, how they fare. But I'm looking forward to it, and it starts at 3 a.m. my time, 3 a.m. In lovely Wisconsin.
Right.
And what time does it start over there? It's 9 a.m. for you guys?
9:35
9:35.
with KJT. Now that'll be intriguing to see how fit and sharp she is. She had a disappointing Olympics with injury, and we haven't seen her compete enough to know how sharp she is.
Yeah. No, it's going to be that pentathlon could be really interesting. There's an American athlete, a couple American athletes in there, with Sherry Hawkins, and it's going to be something to watch. That'll be kind of fun. And then on the men's side in the heptathlon, our friend Damian Warner, but also
he's going to win. He's going to win because he told us that this morning.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, I think Garrett Scantling may have a thing to say about that. Garrett looked quite impressive in the U.S. championships, but we'll have to see. I've got my fingers crossed for him. He's a interesting character. He's played American football, and then he's come back from it and fourth in the Olympics, and he won the Olympic trials this time around. I think he's a tremendously talented athlete, and let's see if he can what he can do indoors. It'll be a lot of fun. So, well, Stuart, my friend, this is at the end of your evening, right? Is it evening?
Yes. Well, it's 5:00.
Okay. You've survived almost a day in lovely Belgrade, and thank you again for covering it for us. Look forward to seeing your stuff. I'll be getting your things up this afternoon. Stay safe, my friend, and enjoy our friend the Raspberry. Okay?
Yeah. Well, he wants to say goodbye as well. Raspberry Lee.
Raspberry Lee says goodbye from Belgrade, Serbia, with our friend Stuart Weir. This is Larry Eder, Athletics Chat 90, our preview of the World Indoor Championships, and watch our coverage tomorrow. Thanks again to Mike Deering, our production and creative manager. Talk to you soon. Well, hello, sports fans. Larry Eder, RunBlogRun. This is Athletics Chat number 90. Our friend Stuart Weir is in Belgrade, Serbia. He arrived earlier yesterday, about noon yesterday, and he was partnered with Lee the Raspberry. Lee the Raspberry apparently is the mascot of the World Indoor Championships at the Stark Arena in Belgrade, Serbia. Don't ask me how, but we will have Lee the Raspberry dancing around on our screens, over the next few days. And I will have to use that image for months from now, because how can you not use Lee the Raspberry? Stuart went to the presser in Belgrade and got to see Damian Warner, Ryan Krauser, Keely Hodgkinson, among others. And Damian said he's going to win, and he's going up against Garrett Scantling, so I think that could be interesting. Ryan Krauser apparently hasn't mentioned the world record for a couple hours, although people do mention it to him, and it must drive him absolutely crazy. Keely Hodgkinson looks, I think, pretty tough in the women's 800. She says if she's looking over her back, Natalia Gould, the Jamaican 800-meter runner, could be someone who could be a challenge. I think that some of the highlight events, Stuart and I agree that the men and women's 60s could be fantastic. Iwa Sobota from Poland's run 6:99, and then you have Makia Briscoe and Mary Beth Price from the U.S., who both look awesome. Elaine Thompson is not going to be there. Shelly Ann Fraser-Price had mentioned to Stuart that she had thought about doing it, but then she said, why would Jamaicans run indoors? So anyway, on the men's side, I think it's going to come down to Christian Coleman and Marcel Jacobs. And Marcel told everybody that he's going to hold on to Christian's coattails and then catch him at the finish. I think it could be a very close race. I think it's going to take 6:42 to win. Could take 6:40. I just don't know what kind of shape both of these gentlemen are in. Christian's had 2 races, and our friend Marcel has had 6. One of them he had his false start for the season at the last race in Belgrade, so he said he's got that out of his system now because sprinters do false starts sometimes. So I think the men and women's 60 could be tremendous. Men and women's 800s will be really good. Elliot Giles, Bryce Hoppel. There's a couple of tremendous Spanish athletes. The men's 1500s and women's 1500, the men's 3000 and women's 3000, everybody's giving to the Ethiopians. I think there'll be some surprises. I think some events will be more tactical than the Ethiopians want to deal with. They will want to go out fast, and that could be really interesting, and they could burn themselves off. In the U.S., we've got Elle Purier and Alicia Monson on the women's side in the 3000, and Heather McLean and Josette Norris in the 1500 on the women's side. And I think they both should be able to do quite well. Henry Wynn on the men's side in the 1500 could be interesting. And we'll see in the men's 3000 too. The pole vaults, Mondo Du Pontus, I'm predicting another world indoor record. I'm also predicting an American indoor record from Chris Nielsen. I just think they're both really in great shape right now. They're highly competitive, and Stark Arena is a wonderful facility. I visited it in 2017. Absolutely loved the facility, the Serbian crowd, the espresso, and the pretzels. So, gotta have all that kind of stuff. Although I gotta watch the pretzels now. On the women's side in the pole vault, you've got Angelika Sidorova, the fine Russian jumper, Olympic silver medalist. You've got Katie Najat, the Olympic gold medalist. You've got Sandy Morris, world medalist. And so I think we've got a tremendous crew there. I think those are the 3 medals. In what order? I just don't know. So we'll have to see. Women's long jump. Ivana Valletta, that's the name I will say. In 2017, she went, 724. It was a tremendous series, and I look forward to seeing what she can do this weekend. We'll be watching this on Peacock TV, an NBC affiliate. Central Time, it starts at 3 a.m. There's 2 sessions each day, and we're fortunate enough to be able to see the championships from lovely Wisconsin. So Stuart will be covering it from lovely Belgrade, and I'll be covering it from lovely Fort Atkinson. And then we've got Deji Oganibo, who will be covering it from Nigeria, and Justin Lagat will be covering it from Kenya. And then we will have a few other writers surprising you as well. So stay safe. Thank you again to Mike Deering, our creative and production manager, for this programming. And stay safe. Talk to you soon.